Hola.
Yes, I'll go with you on the 21st.
Is that
Sorry, I didn't message you earlier.
first
Just
one?
check my calendar. For catacombs?
Yeah.
Yeah. What time is it at?
Starts at 5:30 or 7:30.
Okay.
Maybe 5:30. I don't remember.
Okay. Cool.
I'll send you the ticket link, or I can just get 2 tickets and then
Yeah,
we can go
I
from
can
there.
pay you.
It's a 2-drink minimum,
I know, it's retarded,
Yeah.
but it'll be worth it to go on a date.
With you.
Are we matching shirts?
How tacky to wear the other, like Sharks and Jets style. We show up with our gang shirts at their gang hideout.
Right? Be awesome.
I want to meet the girl, Allison, though she is Nashville based.
Oh, is she? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So she must play in both shows then.
I'm sure.
I was wondering because her character art the character art for her character looked the same.
Mm-hmm. She's playing the Dragonborn, right?
I thought she was playing like an orc barbarian.
That might be the case.
So I could be wrong. I only listened to the one session and have followed it 0. So
Well,
I went to make the post for Shenanigans about their scavenger hunt, and then realized she literally just sent me a link, and I'm like, oh, this is going to take work, and so I haven't done it yet.
well, you two that I wrote about Matt and Bob.
Yeah.
So I think that they also partially run the brewery cooperative at Stovehouse. And so they've been down a GM there, so he's been like double dutying. And he was like, yeah, this is priority number 1 now that I have a GM again. So I will be giving you all something by midweek.
Sweet. He
So
had some cool tattoos. I'm sure his art's good.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
excited to see what happens.
what's up, everybody else? You guys ready for this?
No. Ready to get hurt again.
I don't know that I'm ready. Like, chapter 1 is you're supposed to be probably level 2, maybe level 3 by the end of it. And they don't really give you a whole lot. So, we'll see.
It's okay. What could go wrong?
Right? Well, you're supposed to be level 15 by the end, and it's 15 or 17 chapters for the whole module. So, I am planning on just doing like milestone leveling more or less, if that's cool with everyone.
Heck of a lot easier to keep track of.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good with whatever.
Cool. So you're all level 3? No.
Oh, really?
No, not yet, but soon.
Are you allowing homebrew classes?
Which class?
Valion advance into a butt archer?
I will allow it. Is the music too loud? Too quiet?
No, it's great.
Okay.
News Foley, your subclass is gonna come true. The class of your dreams. He's probably not even here.
He's not. But he's recording so he can listen later.
I actually can't hear Kenku at all, and I don't have him muted. Is he playing anything?
It just restarted.
Let me hop in and out
now.
real quick.
Yeah. Make sure I don't have it turned up. Yeah. Let me put on something a little more.
Super quiet, that's why.
Okay. I can turn it up a little if you...
I cranked him up to a 200%, so let me lower him a little bit if you're going to do that so I don't blow my eardrums out.
Okay. How about I'll leave it right there. You put some... This is like a really quiet song.
Yeah, that's why I wasn't hearing anything.
Yeah. All right. So, I guess we can go ahead and get started. Let's pull up my stuff here. All right. So you all have been captured by the Drow, and you wouldn't wish this fate upon anyone. Yet here you are, locked in a dark cave, the cold, heavy weight of metal tight around your throat and wrists. You are not alone. Other prisoners are trapped in here with you, in an underground outpost far from the light of the sun. Your captors include a cruel drow priestess who calls herself Mistress Ilvara of House Misrium. Over the past several days, you have met her several times. Robed in silken garments and flanked by 2 male drow, one of whom has a mass of scars along one side of his face and neck. Mistress Ilvara likes to impress her will with scourge in hand and remind you that your life now belongs to her. Accept your fate, learn to obey, and you may survive. Her words echo in your memory, even as you plot your escape. So, should actually... sure, I can give you access to a note. Let's see, what is it, a handout? Is that the best way to do it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Give you handout. Nope. Does everybody want one?
I'm using just a notepad on my desktop.
I'll give you one.
However, some spellings, if you want to throw any spellings of the name in so I have it right, I wouldn't mind that.
Okay, sure.
Since I have no clue if I'm spelling anything right.
Who still needs one card? Alright. Let me see here. Where'd my... Alright, so... So Mistress Ilvara is the one name you have. And House Misrium. So that is the name you have so far. So, actually, where's everybody's characters? Of course let's see. Of course he's not here. But Foley's character has been in prison the longest out of the 4 of you, so we'll kind of skip him. Vrosh and Europe have you guys woke up kind of in this prison cell about 5 days ago, and were joined shortly thereafter the next day by a hobgoblin that kind of found his way into the cells here. You are in prison with 10 other prisoners. So far, everyone has mostly kept to themselves. Let me try something. Move you guys. Oh, cool, it worked. I have an API that's supposed to move your guys' tokens. So those of you that actually use Roll20, it worked, but the rest of you...
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's fine. You have to... Let's see, so...
Damn.
And it's very crowded in here. I actually might. I feel like I need to change the scaling on this place, but there we go. All right. So you find yourself imprisoned with a number of other characters. How familiar are people with denizens of the Underdark?
Mainly from a 3-5 lore standpoint. I know that recently. Sorry, go on.
I would say how familiar is your character?
Probably not at all, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah. So you guys notice a number of individuals. What's the button to show a token, Jordan?
Z. Click on it and then Shift Z.
Got it. All right. So probably the most prominent figure is a Quaggoth who this hulking figure kind of fills the slave pens, and you have seen his kind as they kind of watch you. They seem to be servants of the Drow as well, and they kind of watch you as you're taken out and about and doing the menial tasks that they have you do. Usually about a third of your day is spent doing some kind of task for these drow, whether it's emptying chamber pots, coiling ropes, stacking rocks, kind of just whatever they feel like. There's also a not a male Darrow. Whoa. And the Shift Z thing just freaks out my computer. That seems to kind of like so far has been relatively talkative and interacts a little bit with some of the other prisoners as they'll let him. You're also in there with an orc, a couple of deep gnomes, and a really alien-looking creature that seems to just looks like a gray mushroom. You don't see any eyes or hands or anything like that. Just some little stubby feet and kind of small, and goes about his business, but kind of keeps to himself a little bit. Yeah. Anything initially you guys would like to do? Do you kind of come to consciousness?
This drow is in here as well?
Mm-hmm. There also is a drow. So there's a drow, and that is imprisoned with you, as well as a Kuatoa.
Oh God!
Imprisoned with you.
Cheech and Chong vibes right there.
There's also a female dwarf, an orc, and the deep gnomes. And 3 deep gnomes in total. 2 of them seem to stick really close together. Yeah.
You said one Darrow.
Yeah, so this one Darrow guy.
Stop doing that.
One female dwarf.
Yeah, one female dwarf.
One toadstool.
One mushroom creature.
Yep. and then the 4 of us.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not like a party, right? We're just
No.
all prisoners
No, you
together.
are all just prisoners together.
I sit with my back against the wall. Do we have manacles or collars or what do we have?
Yeah, so everybody has a collar around their neck, and you have manacles on your hands that are attached to the collar around your neck. So you are all, so you have the collar around your neck with manacles connected to iron belts on short lengths of chain. So it leaves you restrained, but doesn't affect your movement or speed.
How is the mushroom bound?
He awkwardly, I guess. So he seems to have like manacles around his feet, and one that goes around his center.
Okay.
His lack of hands doesn't lend him to having manacles around them. And you guys, like, you wake up and rest has kind of comes and goes, and everybody seems to kind of sleep on the same schedule, but for most of you, this amount of darkness is like you have no idea anymore the passing of time. Whether it's day or night is hard to tell or impossible to tell, as it is incredibly dark down here, and without the sun, you just have no way to tell the passing of time. There are like some, like you've seen as you've gone around your business around here, as you've been taken around to do your various menial tasks. There are like the outposts. This place seems to be dimly illuminated by the occasional lantern or that kind of contain this like phosphorescent fungi. But that is primarily only on interior spaces. Everything outside is completely dark. As you kind of wake, and a little time goes by, you guys are a couple of drow kind of come by and open. There's a large your cavern here is closed off by a large iron door that is bolted into the wall here. It has you have like clay chamber pots in here, but that's the only comfort that you're given. As you've been here, you've been fed just once a day, generally a thin kind of mushroom broth that's served in these small clay bowls that are passed through gaps in the bars of the gate. As you are assumed to be starting a new day, once again, some of your drow captors, along with a number of Quaggoth, kind of begin to split you up into groups. And actually just have... So they begin splitting you guys up into groups of 3. So be a good way to do this. Just do... Maybe create a new page here. Is that... Well, I'll say, all right. So what's your Rosh, you are paired off with the Darrow and one of the deep gnomes, a kind of what's the right word? One of the deep gnomes. He's kind of seems to have a nonchalant attitude about him. He seems fairly carefree-ish attitude, considering the circumstances you're in. I'd say Cars, you are paired off with the orc and the female dwarf, and she is she generally, you've seen her keep her distance and kind of glance hatefully, especially at the orc, but not super kindly towards you or Dorotar. Let's see, Duratar will be paired off with the Quaggoth, the Drow, and the Kuatoa, and then Urup, you get paired off with the Toadstool and the other two deep gnomes.
The Darrow.
The Darrow goes with Varash. So you're this guy, and this guy.
Yep.
I'm only paired with 3.
You're paired with this guy and this one.
Yeah, only 3 of us.
Yeah,
Everyone
so
else
it's
is
just
4.
the 3 of you.
Okay.
Because that's the way the numbers work out, I guess.
Gotcha.
The only person that has 4.
Oh, I see. Never
is
mind.
Drotor.
Gotcha.
Yeah, boy.
So
am I the most recent?
You are the most recent prisoner by a day.
Who's been here the longest?
Basically, all of the other prisoners have been here longer than the 4 of you. Urop and Vrosh came in the day before you, and Durotar came in, I guess, 4 days before you.
So I missed the
if
part.
you're having
what were we getting
issues
paired
with
up
your
to do?
nameplate on your token, it is enabled, I promise. You may have to reload.
All right. Let's start.
Or I can try resetting.
There's no other hobgoblins here. Am I the only hobgoblin?
You are the only hobgoblin.
Of course. Underrepresented, as always.
So what is our tasking that they're making us
hold
do?
on. Let me
I want to smash something.
Jordan's token so he stops bitching at me. All right, so we'll just go down. So Vrosh, you and the Deep Gnome and Duratar, this music is way too intense for what we're doing here. Sorry.
Maybe that's why I want to smash something so bad.
So you guys are taken by some of the Drow, and you are tasked with. They bring you over to kind of an open cave area where there's a number of just outside, where it seems the Quaggoth kind of make their residence, and they kind of order you to begin stacking all the loose rocks that have kind of like fallen from various areas, or basically just kind of like cleaning up the area in general, stacking any rocks that have fallen down. You had been put on this duty a couple days ago, and the stacks of rocks that you had made then seem to have been spread out all over the area in order for you to stack again. The Drow kind of leave you in care of a number of Quaggoth that kind of watch over you in this area.
Can we tell are the drow that appear, are they in armor?
Yes.
Are they speaking a language we can understand? Like are they giving? I'm most interested in like when they speak to the Quaggoths. Are the Quaggoths being said something in like a language and then they're following, or are they being whipped, or like?
The Quaggoths are being said something in a language and following. So I guess so when they communicate with the Quaggoths and some of the other prisoners, it is in Undercommon primarily. But they also seem to speak Common.
Okay.
But you hear the language that the drow are speaking. A large number of the other denizens also seem to speak in this language. Like, so it's really some of the newer comers, including yourself, that they tend to address in Common, and they use their words very sparingly generally, occasionally mocking you or making jabs, but a lot of your commands are kind of gestures or things that are you figure out by whether or not you get kicked or whipped or whatever it might be until you're doing the right thing. So this first group of 3 people, you guys are sent to do kind of on rock stacking duty. Female dwarf, hobgoblin, and orc, you guys are sent to see, you guys are put on the duty of there's a number of you're brought over to one of the appears to be kind of like a bunk area, and there's about 4 drow there, and you guys are set to massage their feet. Duratar, the Quaggoth, and the other drow are sent to fish in a waterfall nearby, where water is very cold, and you're not given line or anything. You're just meant to stand under it and try to catch stuff. And Urop and the 2 deep gnomes and the little mushroom are set on emptying all of the chamber pots. So, if you want, we can go through each of the groups. If you have things you want to do or see or whatever while you're on your kind of third of the day chores.
The thing in particular that I would want to do right now.
Okay. You find for the most part the being supervised by the Quaggoths, they don't engage in conversation with you or anything as much as, say, maybe some of the drow would have. Every once in a while, one will come over and knock over a pile of rocks that you're stacking, and or will intentionally make a mess of something that you cleaned up and have you kind of go back and clean it up again. They particularly enjoy when you're inside cleaning out their cave, blocking any of the small lanterns, providing any light that are in there, as they realize that it inhibits your ability to see and enjoy watching you stumble around and bump into stuff.
Wow, rude.
Cars, you and this other kind of burly looking gruff orc, as well as the female dwarf, are taken to the barracks and are basically set to massaging these drow's feet. And they kind of make fun of you constantly while you're doing it, primarily in Undercommon, just kind of laughing to themselves and pointing at you guys. The female dwarf stays as far away from you guys as she can, often casting kind of like evil glares in your direction. And you can see the other orc is having a really hard time controlling his temper as he's set to massaging these drow's feet. Anything you would like to see, do, say?
Biding my time till I can smash something.
Okay. Are you back fully? I'm guessing no. Okay, so, Urup. You, the little mushroom person who is supremely unhelpful in general, but just kind of follows around, are all set to, and the two, these two deep gnomes, are all set to emptying chamber pots. And you first have to empty out your chamber pots, and you are they basically, you have to empty out yours, and then they kind of take you around and you go throughout the this outpost, emptying the various chamber pots out of the different rooms.
As we're going, I'd like to. I want to watch the two deep gnomes.
Mm-hmm.
Are they like connected at the hip, or are they kind of doing things independently? You know, I just want to get a feel for that relationship.
Yeah, they are fairly connected at the hip. You see, one of them, has kind of like a stringy mop of hair, while the other has only like a few tufts of hair atop their otherwise bald head. One you believe to be female, and the other one male. The one with kind of like the few tufts of hair that are atop their head, he seems to kind of like constantly mumble and mutter to himself, kind of pretty unintelligibly, all in Undercommon. And occasionally the other one will like turn and whisper something at him or say something to him. But they seem pretty connected.
I want to try and wait for the right moment. Are the guards like watching us during this time?
Oh yeah, they're following you around.
As they're kind of watching us, I want to see when they go for a chamber pot, and I'm going to also try and go for the same one. And I want to bend down, squat down and act like I'm grabbing it, and actually grab it. I'm going to take it, but I want to see if I can make eye contact with them and give them like a little nod. I don't want to say anything. I just want to like see if I can get them to look at me and like, oh yeah, I'm here. We have a connection, sort of a thing.
Sure. So you kind of like bend down with them. The ones kind of always got their head down, and you go to like remove this chamber pot, and the female one kind of looks at you, and give me a persuasion check, I guess.
Oh gosh. First roll. Persuasion. This is just the first one.
Mm-hmm.
So a 13.
So she kind of like gives like a little bit of a nod and lets go of the chamber pot and kind of lets you take it and goes to grab the next one. Seems to acknowledge you.
Yeah, that's all I want to do.
Yeah. Okay. At one point, you see the little mushroom guy kind of, since he's the only one who has bindings on his feet, he kind of like trips. It gets caught as he's going into one of these chambers and kind of trips and falls over and kind of rolls. I'd
like to help him up if I'm able to.
Yeah, the drow kind of like laugh at him, kick him around a little bit before you're able to really go and kind of like help him up. But you help him, stand him up, and kind of like bounces up and down a little bit, and what you assume is like, I don't know, a nod of thanks or something, but doesn't speak. And you guys kind of continue going about your day, doing these menial tasks. At some point, after about a few hours have passed and you kind of completed the tasks to their satisfaction, they'll bring you back to the slave pens and close the door and lock you back inside. Is there anything you wanted to do prior to that? Anyone else before we move to there?
No, nothing particular from me.
Yeah,
Okay.
probably not. I can't think of anything.
So they kind of move you back into your slave pens, close and shut the door, or it's redundant, but close and lock the door. And a little time goes by and you guys are past your soup for the day. Again, just a thin kind of like mushroom broth in these clay bowls. You notice everyone kind of keeps to themselves still for the most part. Everybody's more or less somewhat sullen. In particular, you see the drow very much keeps his self kind of back up against the wall and kind of sullenly eats his soup. The two deep gnomes that you went out with are up, kind of are always with each other. The little mushroom guy kind of stays by himself away from everybody, generally in whatever the furthest, darkest corner from people is. As everybody's kind of been handed their soup, the female dwarf is kind of like back kind of by herself and grabs her soup and kind of goes and sits down, and after grabbing his soup, the orc kind of walks past her and smacks her bowl out of her hand, so that her soup goes spilling everywhere, and laughs at her as she kind of like glares back at him, says something like mean and dwarvish, and he just kind of like snarls at her, and goes to sit down to eat his soup.
Yeah, fuck those dwarves.
Anything in particular, you guys? Anything you want to do while everybody's kind of just chilling?
Looking for a way to escape.
Can I say, so all the other prisoners were here longer than us, you said, right?
Mm-hmm.
In Orcish, can I ask, I guess, are we allowed to speak in here, or do we get like beaten if they hear us speak? Or do we not know that?
You would know at this point. Like, there hasn't been a lot of conversation to this point, but generally, as long as it's hushed tones, like, they don't pay you too much mind.
Okay. Well, can I say in Orcish that we need to make a plan, and we need to break out?
Sure. Are you addressing it to the room, to the orc in general?
Yeah, probably the orc, and then if I can, I would assume. Actually, I don't know if anybody else. There's a hobgoblin, right, that might speak Orcish, possibly. So if I can kind of mumble that while he's in earshot. But yeah, at the orc who just did the soup kick.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this is you?
No, he's...
I'm Drothar.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
This is Kurt.
That's the hobgoblin. Gotcha.
Yeah. Very orky hobgoblin.
Yeah.
He kind of looks at you. Says, you're half orc, right?
Yep.
He says, yeah, we need to escape. I don't know that I need the help of a half-blood like you.
As if someone with your intelligence could figure it out on their own. And I'm going to just turn and walk away.
Make a acrobatics check.
Oh, man. Okay.
As you walk away, he kicks out his leg, and just barely catches your foot before you lift it up, and he wipes your legs out from under you, and you hit the ground. As he trips you, you kind of fall on your way back to to wherever you were going as you were walking away from him.
I really want to punch him in the face.
Kind of.
We're still chained, though, right?
Yeah. Doesn't inhibit your movement or speed.
Right. I just mean, I would not be able to like uppercut him.
I mean, you wouldn't not be able to hit him. Like, the chains don't inhibit.
It's like an orange jumpsuit.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, right.
So I'd say it would give you disadvantage on hitting him, but it doesn't stop you from hitting him if you wanted to do so. But he kind of like laughs and goes back to eating his soup.
I'd like to eat probably 2/3 of my soup. And then I want to go over and sit down on the wall next to our toadstool friend. And I want to kind of look at him and see if I see any eyes or anything. Or is he just a mushroom cap?
You look at him and you give me a perception check, I guess. Or investigation, your pick.
I'll do perception.
You look and it just is like it just seems to be a mushroom cap, and you look, don't see any eyes. Then you kind of stop looking for a second and kind of like go back to just like lean back on the wall, and you hear, "Oh boy, thanks for helping me earlier."
I don't look at him. I don't look at him, and I just take my soup and I push it over to him.
He like sticks a foot in it, and you see it like just start to disappear.
Great.
Gross.
You didn't see a mouth move or anything, and as you like thinking, you kind of notice there's like, you look, and with that perception check, you notice in a small radius around you, there are these spores that are in the air, and he didn't make any audible sound. You realize that it was in your head.
I look at it, him, whatever it is, and just give a similar nod, and then kind of tuck my knees up underneath my arms and lean against a wall, just watching all of everything else.
Okay, you see him kind of like hop a little closer to you and kind of like look up at you and kind of settle in close to where you're at.
Okay.
The
bugs or cockroaches I can feed my spider.
make a perception check.
I clicked it, nothing happened.
There it
There you
goes.
There it is.
You look around. You don't see anything, but there's you're kind of sitting at the back of the cave, and you feel like probably one of these creatures would, if there were any bugs that were making their way back here and they saw it, they would probably take it for themselves. Varsh, the little Darrow kind of comes up into you and just like kind of smiles, and what languages do you speak? He starts rambling on at you for a second in a language that you don't understand, but you've heard a lot of people here talking, and then his speech starts to change, and he starts talking in Dwarvish, and he's just kind of rambling on about like, I'm getting really tired of these menial tasks. They're always having us stack these stones and then fish in the waterfalls and then clean up after them, and I just, it's one thing to be in prison, it's another thing to be treated like this, and I don't know, but your help, you're big and strong, and your help was really, really appreciated, and I'm glad we got paired up today, and yeah, it's my name's Buppido. I know we haven't been in a group together yet, but nice to meet you, and maybe you can understand what I'm saying, but I don't know. Anyway, and kind of like unsure of whether or not, because I don't think you would have given, unless you've given indication by speaking to the dwarf that you speak Dwarvish. He just kind of is trying the different languages that he knows in talking with you.
I would respond in Dwarvish and say that if you want better duties, then prove your worth.
I agree. We are all called to prove our worth to whatever, um, you know, we all have a calling and must prove ourselves. Yep, I agree. Well, it's nice to know someone else other than that. The dwarf speaks Dwarvish. But again, pleasure to meet you. Kind of waits to. Rosh. Good name. Well, Rosh, pleasure. And any ideas how to get out of here? It would be great to get out of here. I've got much work to do. So like he'll kind of like just go on talking at you for a little while, like just relatively jovial, compared to the other people in here. But now that he's found someone that kind of like will talk back to him a little bit, even if you don't say anything else, he'll talk to you for a little while.
I would, at this point, ask in common, for those who might understand it, and say, this one wishes his freedom. What is it these captors value? And what can we exchange to purchase our way out of this?
Let's see. Only let's see. So the orc and the dwarf, and then the rest of the group are the only ones that would speak common, I think. Maybe the drow. No one else gives indication that they kind of understand you. The orc kind of looks at you and they want us. There's no exchange. And the rest of you can respond as you will or would.
Who is saying this?
The orc, yeah.
What about the drow? Is there any reaction from him?
The drow is just kind of sitting in the corner. You see his soup is like half eaten, but sitting next to him. And just kind of head down, staring at the floor.
I would go up to him at this point and nudge him and say, you are one of these kind, are you not?
He kind of like looks up at you and then just looks back down on the ground. Don't know if he's ignoring you or just can't understand you. The Kuatoa is actually sitting in a corner in a meditative pose. His eyes closed, just legs crossed, just sitting there, kind of letting the world around him exist. But yeah, the drow just kind of continues to sit.
What about the Quaggoth?
He's kind of like laying near the entrance. He's pretty huge. He's got his arms kind of like crossed with his head kind of resting on him, kind of in that like little bit of a lazy dog pose. His eyes seem to be closed right now, kind of just hanging out there.
I would sit down next to the drow at this point if he's I don't know if he's ignoring me or doesn't understand, but I would talk to him in common and say that I am also an exile amongst my people.
Real quick. Everybody else kind of like gives the Quaggoth a pretty wide berth, as he is he is extremely powerful compared to the rest of the group, as far as like they've seen. In general, the rest, they are also overseers of you. Are you just speaking in common to the drow?
I'm just speaking in common, yeah.
He doesn't look up and doesn't kind of seem to acknowledge you at all.
That's fine. If he doesn't want to talk, then I won't press him. I can understand being reserved. Or perhaps there is no communication where he does not understand me.
If you want, you can make an insight check to try to see. You can tell if he's just ignoring you or can't understand you.
I think as far as the character background I made, the amount of interactions and social norms that I would have would be pretty poor, actually.
Okay.
So I don't think I would normally do an insight check.
Hey, Leif.
Yeah.
If we have a language, does that also mean we have the verbal and the written?
I would say so. Yeah.
Okay.
If it's like one of your proficient languages.
So I know that in previous editions, Drow have had like a hand language, like a sign language almost.
Mm-hmm.
Are you doing that, or would they have like a written language? I'm basically trying to find out like what would I potentially know if I knew, Elvish versus Undercommon versus whatever.
Undercommon is going to be very different. Like the Drow hand language is its own thing.
Okay.
Yeah. Because that like if you go to like the Drit series and stuff, that is something only the Drow know.
Okay. Is the floor rock or is it like dusty dirt or?
It's rock. Hard rock.
Okay. Do I have any soup left in either bowl? Like just like a little bit of liquid?
Probably not. Not after he stuck his foot in it.
Okay.
The Drow has half his soup bowl is left.
All right. Then I'm gonna slowly get up and I want to wait and
you wanted to finish your soup before. Sorry.
You're fine. I want to wait until there's like a quiet moment. It seems like it's pretty lively. And I want to walk over, and I want to squat down in front of the soup and not look at him, and put my finger in it and quickly, just with the wet part of my finger on the stone, I want to try and write the word for freedom in Undercommon in front of the drow, and then I want to pick up the soup and try and walk away with it. Does that make sense? Does that make sense what I'm trying to do?
Yeah, you want to write freedom in Undercommon using the wet finger from his soup, and then pick up his bowl and walk away.
Yeah, I'm basically being like freedom, and then I want to pick it up and try and put it in front of the mushroom guy.
So you put your finger in the soup and begin to write, as his head is drooped kind of down in front of him where you feel like he could see, right?
Yeah.
And you like his eyes are open, and you're pretty sure he can see what you write. And you wrote it in undercommon. So as you go to grab the, as you begin to grab the bowl of soup and pick it up, he all of a sudden kind of lashes out and reaches for the bowl and grabs it and looks at you with like kind of like a fiery glare, and in undercommon is just like, freedom? What freedom is there for us? Freedom in taking other people's things just because you're here? There's no freedom. And he like looks ready to jump at your throat.
I put my hands up in front of me and slowly back away, keeping my head down. Go back to my same spot.
He just kind of sets the bowl down and then goes back to just kind of looking at the ground. And then kind of like back to a sullen state. Anybody else want to approach or talk to anyone in particular?
I'm going to sleep.
Okay.
Yeah, probably about that time.
You all go to sleep. As you sleep, say Rupp and Cars, you toss and turn throughout the night. Sleeping, especially for you, Rupp, is on hard stone is probably not super common, so it's uncomfortable. But more than that, your dreams are disturbing. You see like dark shadows that seem to move and reach out towards you, as you seem to be lost, wandering through endless mazes of tunnels. Cars, you are in emptiness, and oily tentacles seem to slide and brush up against you, and there is a buzzing and howling that just seems to rise up, first in the distance, then all around you. You see what seems to like be eruptions of oily bubbles that pop and then look like wounds that have burst open, and clouds of spores and masses of maggots seem to like ooze out of them. You both, throughout different points of the night, feel as there's something kind of like out there in this darkness that is your current situation. And it's probably worse than the drow. You wake up next day, both of you in cold sweat. Feeling, I mean, technically rested, but also like rested as in your kid woke up 3 times during the night. It's a new day. You wake the before the drow come to collect you to put you at your various duties, the female dwarf seems to move closer to you, Rosh, as well as Buppido. And she kind of nods and kind of just says, I'd rather be in Dwarvish, I'd rather be with you lot than those two over there, and at least with someone I can easily communicate with. hopefully we can get put together on whatever task they have us go about today.
Shrug.
Let's see. Do any of you before, like, you would have noticed the day before, the drow just kind of like put you into groups in general just by who you were hanging out with closest at the time. Like whoever they kind of saw you near. Does anyone try to position themselves to be put in any particular group?
I'd like to be positioned by the person who was writing freedom on the ground.
Do you speak Undercommon?
No,
you don't. No, you don't.
Yeah, I do. Undercommon, Draconic, and Goblinoid.
What?
I'm
I
smart.
looked at your sheet. You are right. Yeah. All right. Cool.
Why would I speak common?
Okay. So you tried to go close to Urop. Let's see.
And
anybody else?
I'll try to whisper to him. You serious about trying to break out of here?
I give him a look and raise my eyebrows slightly, and then I kind of do a head gesture at the door. And I'm not saying anything. I'm just like head gesture at the door, eyebrows up, kind of look down at the mushroom guy.
How quiet are you saying this?
If there's guards around, I'm not saying anything.
There's not, right? The door is still closed. They haven't come to get you yet. You don't really have a good idea of time, but like
I'll whisper really, really close, like in his ear.
Okay, so you're trying to not let anyone else around here?
Yeah.
Kind of thing? Okay. Yeah, so you seem to go ahead and do that. What about you, Are you trying to just hang out with Stool here?
Yeah, me and Whitecap were thick as thieves now, so I slept in his spore juice all night. So.
And he kind of like he told you his name's Stool, and he's he's like, boy, it's real nice to be able to talk to someone. I'm pretty scared. I don't know why I'm here, and it's not terribly great.
Yeah, so I'm near Stool. Okay. I'm keeping my distance from the drow. Does there seem to be any... I want to keep on like trying to observe the room for other dynamics we haven't picked up on. We know that the two deep gnomes are buds. We know the Kuata is just like Zen state. All the dwarven people are connecting. What about this guy? He's the other deep gnome, right?
Yeah. He's, for the most part, he's kind of chills kind of by himself. He is very, looks around a lot. You kind of picked up at one point in, he kind of whispered to this guy when Duratar went over to talk to this orc over here. He's like, I bet you they're going to fight. I bet you 2 gold they're going to fight. But that's kind of like the biggest interaction you've seen him have so far.
What about the Kuata? Is he still meditating?
Yeah, he like kind of like wakes up and just kind of like meditates, man, until they come and pick him up.
I want to try and catch his eye if we can, if I can. Or is he like eyes closed,
He's
sitting
like
there on the ground the
eyes
whole time?
closed and like just meditating.
Okay, I'm not going to approach him. I'm gonna, yeah. I mean, if so, who approached? Was that Cars that approached?
Duratar approached Cars, Cars approached you. Sorry.
Yeah. So, me, Cars, and Stool, I guess, are kind of standing together.
Okay. Duratar, are you trying to be with anyone in particular?
Not really.
Okay. All right. So then they kind of all pick you up to set you on tasks again. Urop, Cars, Stool, and the Quaggoth. You guys are all put in a group and are set to moving. Actually, you're set to scrubbing floors. And you're set to scrubbing the same floor over and over again. It's like the cleaner it is, the more you have to keep scrubbing it. Vrosh, you, the Deep Gnomes, and the Kuatoa are put together. Duratar, you, the Orc, and the Dwarf, and this guy here, the Darrow, are put together. And then everybody else. Did I say who you're with, Rosh? Sorry.
You said I'm with the dwarf?
No, I was saying Duratar, Kuatoa, Dwarf, and Orc.
Then I don't know.
Okay, so then you are with. I need to group these because it's hard to track. You're with the Drow, the Kuatoa, and
okay,
this guy, I guess. Yeah. So let me kind of like rearrange some people here. So you, dwarfy girl, and this guy. So you four, then Urop, and Cars here. And these two guys will be all right, so you will be with these three, basically the three Deep Gnomes, Rosh, and then
okay,
the rest will kind of go off by themselves. So who did I have scrubbing floors? Was that you or up?
Yes.
Yeah. All right, so you guys are set to scrubbing floors. Rosh, you are set to. Your group is actually set to cooking, like preparing food. Duratar, you guys are set to moving a bunch of heavy boxes from one place to another.
At least it's not rocks this time.
And then back again. Like, they basically just have you moving heavy boxes, like, no, we need them. No, you know what? They looked better. Maybe they're actually better. I don't know. Maybe the first place was better. That kind of thing. And that should be everybody, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you guys are set about your tasks for the day. Any particular interactions you're trying to have? Are you keeping it quiet?
Is the Kuoto with us scrubbing?
Yeah. See with you? Yeah, sure. You have the Quaggoth car's stool and no, the Kuatoa, yeah, and the Kuatoa. Yeah, he's scrubbing.
Okay. Is there?
You see him and Stool do keep a pretty good distance from this dude, the Quaggoth.
I'd like to approach the Kuatoa.
Okay.
As like scrub, scoot over to where he's scrubbing, you know.
Sure.
And I want to try and catch his eye and like nod my head at him.
He like nods and smiles at you in a fishy way.
And I'm gonna reach over and pat him on the hand.
He like stops and kind of takes his other hand and like you pat him on the hand, he takes his hand and kind of like pats you on the arm. Like
I kind of like gesture at my throat, like, and then shake my head and look at him.
What are you trying to communicate?
Like I'm unable to speak.
He kind of like nods. Like you're unable to speak just in general, or like?
Yeah, like I'm trying to show him that I can't speak.
Okay.
Like I touch my throat and I like do like a nothing comes out sort of a gesture, and then kind of gesture at him like, and you, basically.
Kind of. Yeah, I can speak friend, but on undercommon.
I nod my head like
It's
in
like
understanding.
Burbly, froggy kind of voice.
Great. And I point at me, and then I point at him, and I kind of shrug my shoulders.
He like, see, hold on, let me just see how much are the drow paying attention to you as you get more animated here. You like kind of like shrug your shoulders and one of the drow, actually with that roll, as you're kind of like having this interaction, you don't notice a couple drow enter into the room.
It's been fun, everybody.
As you hear a voice of you've seen her before, but you hear the voice of Ilvara, flanked by her two attendees, as well as a second female drow follows a little behind her, and she kind of nods and making friends, I see. We can't be having that. She kind of like smirks and motions to the guards, and they kind of begin to lead you back to the slave pens.
Okay.
What is anybody else doing anything during their shifts?
I want to make a show of how easy it is for me to lift these boxes for the orc.
Okay. Go ahead and you can do strength, or let's just do a general strength check.
Oh no. Oh, good.
So you go and you pick up one of these boxes. You think is decent size, and heft it up and kind of carry it over to the place. He just kind of like smirks and goes and picks up the next biggest box and carries it over and puts it down next to yours, and kind of just laughs at you a little bit. And then like flexes and kisses his bicep.
I really want to punch him in the face.
The female dwarf kind of like hangs away from both of you as much as she can, like as far away from you. Like if you and the other orc are on one side, she is as far away picking up the boxes as she can from the other side. The Darrow kind of hangs by her, kind of chattering every once in a while as you don't seem to understand any of the languages that he speaks. So he just kind of, he's relatively jovial and kind of does his work and chats to her a little bit, but she's semi-unresponsive for the most part. So, but she engages him a little bit. You see her casting, her glares are between you and the other orc, and then the drow. Like she's just shooting these icy dagger glares at everything around her, basically. Anything you want to do as you're sent moving boxes back and forth?
How heavy are the boxes, and how many drow are
there? They range in weight, but they're pretty heavy. There are 3 Quaggoth and a single drow.
Oh.
They're kind of watching over you.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I want to spit on the orc when I get close to him next.
Okay. You like blatantly doing it? Like how is there any particular way you're trying to accomplish this thing?
If I can do it in such a way as the guards cannot see me do it, that would be great.
Alright, so make a stealth check as you kind of go to spit on this guy. Okay. You want him to know that you spit on him, though, right?
Oh, 1,000%.
You spit on him, and he kind of, he basically, why you little shit, and he is going to go ahead and try to fucking deck you.
Well, that's not going to end well.
So that is a 19 to hit.
Yeah.
For I mean, it's just 1 point of damage.
Okay.
It's an unarmed strike is just, I think, in general,
It's
just 1 point, right?
1 point plus your strength.
Oh, so 4 points of damage.
It's not a D4 or a D3?
No,
Only
it's just
a
a
D4
1.
if you have
Yeah.
proficiency with
Right.
unarmed weapons.
Oh,
Yeah.
they changed it. Okay.
Some classes get that, mainly monk and
Yeah.
certain backgrounds. But yeah, it's just 1 plus strength.
Yeah. So he just clocks you across the face. One of your teeth feel a little bit loose. You can respond if you want.
Yeah, I
You
want
just
to.
take it.
No, I want to hit him back.
All right, go ahead and make an attack roll.
Is it just a? Is that just a strength attack? Like strength?
Just roll a d20 plus your strength mod. So yeah. Nice. So yeah, you hit him. I mean, he's got an 11 AC. So you go ahead and hit him back for
That'd be
what?
5?
5.
Because my strength is +4.
At this point, the Quaggoth and the Drow kind of like, you see the Drow shout, "Hey, stop that!" and kind of point a crossbow in your general direction. He is going to go ahead and attack you one more time, though.
Damn.
Or a 15, or sorry, a 17.
Yeah, the 14 hits.
Okay. So another 4 points of damage. What about you? You listening on the Drow, or are you hitting him back?
Is the Drow closer to him or closer to me? Like, who has our back towards the Drow?
His back's towards the Drow, and there are 2 Quaggoths kind of closing in behind you.
Yeah, I'm gonna just not do anything for right now and listen to the Drow.
Okay. He's going to hit you again.
Yep, figured.
So a 17 again.
4 more?
Another 4 points of damage. At this point, you look pretty rough, and you're kind of like swaying on your feet, and the Drow lets go of a crossbow bolt that kind of sticks in the back of the orc, and he like goes to swing at you again, but kind of like stumbles and passes out on the ground. The Drow and one of the Quaggoths kind of like pick him up, and they're like, they grab, kind of like the other 2 grab the dwarf and the Darrow, and they start to bring you guys back towards the slave pens. Varsh Kars, you're with Urop. You were scrubbing floors. You guys are being led back towards the slave pens. Varsh, were you anything for you while you were sent to prepare food?
Nope, just gonna do the task they assigned me to the best of my ability.
All right. As you guys are, you in particular, you are, you a certain amount of time goes by, and you feel like you should have been prepping food a little bit longer, but a Drow comes in and whispers to one of his fellows, and you guys are soon told to kind of stop working, and they start to usher you out and back towards the slave pens. As you approach the slave pens, everybody but Urop, you guys see Mistress Ilvara, and she is leading the group that has Urop, Kars, Stool, and the Quaggoth, and the Kuatoa with him. As well as you see a passed out orc being carried by a Quaggoth, and a very beaten looking half orc kind of coming from the other direction. Mr. Silvara says, kind of motions as one of the drow kind of comes up and whispers something to her, and she says, "What an eventful day. Well, I suppose more than one lesson is in order for the day." And she kind of has you guys all line up. Let's see real quick. Put you out a little bit here. You can see some stuff.
Oh gosh.
If I were to use lay on hands on myself, is it like, does it glow, or do they just see me basically like touching myself? Not in that way. God.
No, too late. Too late. You said it.
That's gonna happen.
You see her flanked by her 2 attendants, and you can. I will say you can. Yeah, you're outside. You can go ahead and attempt to lay on hands yourself if you want to, but they might. I would say there is some indication that magic is happening, so it would have to be a little sleight of handy if you want to risk that.
No, we're good.
All right, so she kind of takes the door is open and she kind of has everyone takes you up along this ledge, and you can look down, and you've seen this before as you've been taken to and from your duties. There is a deep chasm that kind of sits down below as you as this outpost is kind of built into numerous stalactites with various bridges. Stalactites go down. Whatever. One of those pointy rock things with various bridges connecting them. And looking down below, there is just a I don't even know what to call it, but just like spider webs going across between all these stalagmites or stalactites, whichever one it is, creating just a complete net going down of spider webs. She kind of has all you prisoners kind of line up here, and she says, I feel like things have become too lax, and disorganization and chaos have begun to filter in through your ranks. It is only a matter of time before you are sent off to Menzo Berzon, and in that time I will not have you causing trouble. And so I feel an example must be made. And while still unconscious, you see her begin to nudge with her foot and push the orc over the edge as he falls down into the spider webs. It is merely seconds before giant spiders come out of the shadows and basically bite him and begin to wrap him up in their webbing. In a matter of minutes, you no longer see an orc, but a cocoon of where this orc once was. She says, not only can we not be having chaos sown throughout the ranks, but I can't afford for you to be making friends. And she goes, she nods to one of her male drow attendants, who, there are 2 that kind of flank her, one on her right and then one on her left. The one on her left has the scars all down her face, and she kind of motions to the one on the left. And he goes over and pulls out a long sword and goes over to the Kuatoa and cuts off his head.
No.
And then continues to cut him up into small chunks.
Oh, jeez.
And she has you watch this. And she says, your last chore for the day is to feed my babies. And they motion for you to pick up the chunks of the Kuatoa and feed it to the spiders.
You being all of us, or me, or whom?
All of you. But she motions to you first. to be the first to go. And I mean, do you comply?
I hold her gaze
Do
for
you
a
want a
moment.
new character?
I hold her gaze for a moment, and I have kind of like a fiery, defiant look in my eyes. And then I intentionally like let it fall. And I want to act like it broke me. And I want to hang my head and like slowly start shuffling towards the corpse.
Okay. Make a performance check.
Okay.
Cool. That was the DC. She seems satisfied and kind of moves on and starts to motion for the Drow and Quaggoth to have everybody else begin to basically feed their once cellmate to the spiders. She then motions after, assuming anybody else wants to do anything during this feeding other than what they're told.
No, I recognize that she's got the power here.
Okay.
I will toss the smallest piece I can find, but that's about it.
Right. She kind of once satisfied, you are ushered back into the slave pens, or slave pen, and you seem to be left alone for the time being. You await for your food, but no food comes this day. But as you get ready to settle down or up, you are near the door when you hear a slight knock on the metal. You lean your ear, you kind of look around. No one else is near the door, and you hear in Elvish, "If I could give you a means of escape from here, would you take it?"
I don't see the voice.
Not currently. Like, if you, like, you're just kind of like sitting next to the door, you hear it kind of coming through the bars, where you kind of
I
like
stand up and try and approach to see who it is.
Okay, make a perception check.
Nice.
That is certainly a perception check.
30-20.
You can't tell who it is. They are hidden deep in the shadows. The only thing you can kind of see is that it appears to be a drow, but you can't tell exactly who. And they're trying to. They seem to be trying not to be seen, whether from you or from whoever might be around.
I stick my hand through the bar quickly and give a thumbs up and then pull my hand back in.
He says, "Tomorrow, after your duties, I will try and leave the gate to the slave pens unlocked, as well as create a distraction during the changing of the guards on duty. There is an armory located in the chamber above the guard post. You can also jump down to the webs below and over the edge of the pool. Make your escape from there. And do you say anything?
No.
You look out the bars again, and no one's there. They seem to have disappeared. And that's where we'll end tonight.
Ominous.
Go ahead and